So this is the tackling the aberrant regenerations. Part of it has been covered by Dr. Rohit in the aberrant regenerations in the third nerve, which is very commonly seen. Now, this case shows you that in the primary position, the eyes are actually straight. It's only the lid which is a problem. So in such a case, I may not be doing much, just to counsel them and send it to an oculoplastic colleague to handle the lids. But cases in which there is an exotropia along with an aberrant regeneration may have to be counseled, and if they agree, you can operate the horizontal recti muscles in the normal eye, so-called normal eye, or the contralateral eye, to do the fixation duress surgery in order to lift the lid, like shown in this case. And this is another example of a 20-year-old male who had this aberrant regeneration, and after the contralateral surgery of LR 15 millimeters and medial rectus plication 8 mm, you can see the correction of the exotropia along with the lifting of the lid in the primary position. So this is another thing which you have to keep in mind. Just analyze, find out the misinnervation, and then correct the misinnervation. If it is not possible to correct the misinnervation fully, then we have to limit its ill effects. Like in Duane's retraction syndrome, you have seen we do it. The same disinnervations are the hallmark of the congenital cranial disinnervation disorders. Most of these CCDDs are having a primary misinnervation of lack of that innervation coming to that nerve, the muscle, and the secondary misinnervation in the form of a aberrant innervation which is happening. A classical example is Duane's retraction syndrome, which you see the paradoxic innervation which is coming to the lateral rectus during adduction. In synergistic divergence is another example of a aberrant innervation, in which there is a innervation which is coming, instead of the medial rectus, it goes to the LR, just the reverse of what you see in DRS. And that is why some people label it as type 4 DRS. So synergistic divergence, if you see this child, now the moment he looks abduction, you can see there is a further abduction impulse which comes in the eye, which was missing in the primary abduction effort. So these are complicated cases. How do you manage? One option would be to do a periosteal fixation of the lateral rectus, which we used to do earlier. But nowadays, now we have got more confident in doing the LR Y split and medial transposition. That I would say is the choice procedure, as if it was made for this condition. So a congenital third nerve palsy with a synergistic divergence, if it is there, you can, this is a pre-op, and sorry, this is the post-op of the case after doing, this is the Y split showing you. Yeah, we can have this LR to MR transposition in synergistic divergence. The lateral incision has been made, limbal incision, the lateral rectus is identified and split. Splitting is always going to have a little bleeding, which we strabismus surgeons don't want to have, but this is an unnecessary outcome of this. You need to split at least 20 millimeters or even more. As I said, even 20 millimeters sometimes can cause a uveal effusion syndrome. And then you bring it underneath the inferior rectus, which also means underneath the inferior oblique, and then again underneath the superior rectus and the superior oblique. And once it comes on the medial side, you identify the medial rectus. Now these sutures have come. I am showing you the cross-section type of a procedure in which you can adjust it by using the cross-section and vectorizing the force much more. So we do not get under corrections with this type of technique. And that means the superior half has come inferiorly, and the inferior half of the lateral rectus has come at the superior end of the medial rectus. And these can be intraoperatively adjusted if it's a child, and then we go by the deviation in the under the microscope. But if it's an adult, we can do it as an adjustable procedure 5 to 6 hours later. So after the lateral rectus to MR transposition, which has been done, you can see the correction is there, as well as an improvement in adduction which comes in. Now this is another case which is showing you a synergistic innervational downshoot. Now this we have described as a SID syndrome. On attempting right adduction, notice that there is a downshoot of the right eye, as if looking towards Tokyo and it goes towards Sydney. So this is what is abnormal innervation which is happening. And this is a post-op. Now, what you have found here is that there was an innervation coming to the inferior rectus instead of adduction. So the inferior rectus actually should be working like a medial rectus. And this is what, once we identify, we transpose the inferior rectus to the medial rectus side. And you can see that the downshoot gets corrected as well as the adduction improves. Now on adduction, you can see the right eye, the downshoot has gone and the adduction has improved. So this is like targeted strabismus surgery. Doing MRIs which are dynamic, that means in different gazes, or kinetic MRIs, in dextro gaze in primary position and in levo gazes, you can confirm what you are suspecting, the misinnervations. As you can see here, the lateral recti are co-contracting on the dextro gaze. And primary position, you can see the lateral rectus is much thinner. On dextro gaze, on the right side picture, you can see, which are circled with the red circles, you can see the width increased. That means there is a co-contraction of the lateral recti in dextro gaze. This confirms a synergistic divergence. And on the levo gaze, you see on attempted adduction of the right eye, the inferior rectus is now acting or innervated. And this would mean that the inferior rectus is working during adduction. We just transpose the inferior rectus on the site of MR and it does the trick. So this is the strategy that we follow for aberrant innervations. So we need to be chopping intelligently, as we say. And these cases are some complex problems which we deal with. Some have already been talked about. Just show you some slides of the, like Mobius. Remember, it's a condition which may not have a classical secondary misinnervation, but it has fibrosis of the medial recti, and so it has to be done individually again. And the imaging shows that there is a missing 6 nerves or even a pontine hypoplasia. There is an associated 7th nerve paralysis also. Congenital fibrosis of extraocular muscles imaging, Dr. Ramesh had shown. You can see not only the orbit, but even the 3rd nerve missing if you do a MRI imaging of the area of the midbrain. This is another case of a pre-op and post-op of a congenital fibrosis of extraocular muscles. Now see the exotropia, which is marked in down gaze, and an esotropia in up gaze, which is happening because of a partly because of a tight inferior rectus, that there is a slippage of the globe, but also a secondary disinnervation which is happening. And these cases sometimes may require a Farden on the medial recti to prevent this secondary innervation, the perverted convergence, like another case of this. Some cases may have missing muscles. I don't know why the reviewer told us that it is actually a CFUM. I saw that all the muscles were aplastic or hypoplastic in this case. And finally, this progressive kind of CFUM, which I was talking about, this child who has a progressive CFUM, and this has been finally tackled by disinsertion of the inferior rectus and application of the superior rectus. Sometimes we deal with very weird exotic cases like the Goldberg-Sprintzen syndrome, which may have congenital aplasias. This is having a scaphocephaly with sagittal craniodysostosis with frontal bossing. And when we examined the eye, there was marked exotropia. The medial rectus was found absent. In such cases, you have to then use your special cap of thinking and what to do. So here I have done a cross-action PVRT, partial vertical rectus transposition, to improve the adduction. And this gives us the good results of correction of the marked exotropia which was done. And the superior oblique overaction required the superior oblique to be weakened by PTSO. So this is what I would like to stop here and have a few minutes to talk over.